Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from.
Not Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Not Malcolm. Not Theo. Theodore Huxtable? Oh, that family. Oh, Jesus. Y'all, that fume gonna be rough. That's gonna be a rough fume. We gonna hear from Felicia Rashad as she says bye to her son. We gonna hear from his family. We gonna hear from Eddie, from Malcolm and Eddie. Jesus, not Malcolm, Lord.
Eddie Griffin just shook the internet up after making some shocking revelations about the real cause of Malcolm's death. And baby, you might want to buckle up for this one because it looks like that drowning may have been orchestrated to take him out even before he landed in Costa Rica. Not only that, word on the street is the plan was to wipe out his daughter too. He managed to save her before dying. Prior to Malcolm's death, he was already beginning to expose the industry, and just like any other celebrity who has ever tried doing that, he winds up dead. Angie Stone was doing that right before she died. Cat Williams did that and got his house broken into. Allie Carter did that and got her house broken into as well. Jaguar did that and she was thrown in jail on 2 occasions for things she had no business being in jail for. And now Malcolm drowns just when he exposes the industry for trying to get his soul. Baby, these celebrities are just dropping dead left and right, and people can't help but wonder if this is a scare tactic to shut the others up. Now, just for a little bit of context, it was reported this past Sunday that Malcolm was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter at a beach in Costa Rica when he drowned. Apparently, a bunch of people at the beach had already recognized him because of his role in the Bill Cosby and Malcolm and Eddie show, so it didn't take long for them to spot him drowning. A surfer used his board to bring Malcolm's daughter to safety, and a volunteer lifeguard pulled Malcolm and another surfer to shore, where Malcolm was given 45 minutes of CPR. The forensic pathology department said that the autopsy confirmed Malcolm's cause of death as asphyxiation by submersion and was apparently accidental.
TMZ is now reporting that Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, which was initially called accidental drowning, was due to a high current in the ocean while on a family vacation. Initially, TMZ simply reported that they had an unconfirmed but reliable source saying that he simply died of accidental drowning, no other detail. Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from. But in this case, it seems like there's no foul play, no drugs, no illicit behavior, nothing, no smoking that you can really point to other than a powerful current in the ocean while you were swimming with your family on vacation, which is like maybe the most tragic circumstances of all. Everything was good, you're hanging out with your family, you're on vacation, you're making memories, and next thing you know, a rip current rips you away, and that's all she wrote. I honestly don't know what's worse. Something that's regrettable and reckless leaves you wondering why and how did we miss this and could this have been avoided. Something like this, though, is just like 1 minute you're good and the next minute you're gone. With your family there, and I'm sure they were trying to save you, and oh my God, that is absolutely gut-wrenching. Just one of those examples of how Mother Nature can be an absolute deadly force. So once again, rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, gone at the age of 54, simply from a rip current while swimming with his family. Oh.
But baby, folks didn't believe that whole accidental stuff at all, and they made it very clear that they weren't buying it. What's crazy is that prior to his death, a popular spiritual analyst on Instagram had already predicted that a famous celebrity was going to go on vacation and not make it back alive, but no one believed her. However, once this news hit just days after that prediction, people went back to that video, and it looks like sis was onto something the entire time.
Quick word. Somebody on a big stage is about to fall.
A star from The Cosby Show has died.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned yesterday while on vacation with his family.
Some people even said the reason they believe he was taken out was because he was beginning to expose the industry, and they decided to shut him up before he went any further with him. You see, Malcolm was on the Bill Cosby Show when he was just 14 years old, and as y'all know, Bill was later exposed for several SA, including touching on kids. Word on the street is Malcolm allegedly experienced his own share of SA while he was on the show, and he was in the works to put all of it on on blast. In fact, not too long before his trip to Costa Rica, Malcolm revealed in an interview that he had gotten some opportunities to be on TV shows and movies where he would have to basically sell his soul in order to do the things the roles were demanding for him to do, but he turned it down to save his integrity. He didn't go into details about what exactly they were asking of him, but it was enough for him to leave millions of dollars on the table.
Coming out the gate with Cosby, which put me in a position where, and because I've always had a good team around me, I've always been in a position where I've had the luxury of being meticulous about the kind of roles that I choose. My mom was really instrumental in getting me to understand the concept of longevity, the concept of being versatile within this business, because she would always say, if you look at anyone in this business who's had longevity, there are times when they've been hot and times when they've not been hot. You have to decide what you're going to do during those times when you're not hot, so you're not making desperate acting choices. I've been fortunate enough to, I've always had the financial wherewithal to be meticulous about the kind of work that I do. So I have a body of work that I will never have to be embarrassed by. Now, there may be some work I might be embarrassed because I might have been whack, but there's nothing in my body of work that I'll ever have to be embarrassed in that I misrepresented my people, or I have continued to perpetuate stereotypes of our people. I've been very fortunate to be able to, pick and choose. I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul.
A lot of celebrities that knew Malcolm reacted to his death, and they all hinted at him possibly being unalived, including his co-star Eddie Griffin from the show Malcolm and Eddie. TMZ met up with Raven Simone to ask her how she felt about his passing, and sis could not hold back her tears. Raven co-starred with him on The Bill Cosby Show, so she got to witness him go through all the alleged traumatic things he went through on the show firsthand.
Raven, how are you holding up?
Phoenix on Carousel 22.
Like me, a lot of people in my generation, we grew up with you guys. We feel like when we get news like that of somebody like Malcolm passing, we've got a group chat with all of our friends. It's like he was like our brother, right? You were like our little sister. You know what I mean? Have you spoken to your former castmates? Like, how are you guys holding up?
I've had a lot of deaths in my life for the past 4 years. This is a lot right now.
It's a lot, huh? Bye, Raven. Thank you. Best to you guys.
TMZ also dropped an exclusive footage of Malcolm of when he initially arrived at Costa Rica. And from the looks of line, he really looked like he was looking forward to having a good time and eventually going back home with his family. But the industry clearly had other plans for him, and coming back alive wasn't one of them.
Bro. What? The actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner has died. First of all, rest in peace to him. He seemed like a very stand-up guy, positive role model. But I looked into this whole thing and it gets weird. First, let's start with the age he died at, which is 54. 5 plus 4 is 9. You guys know about my 9 videos, and 9 is the number of completion. But also, the show that he was famous for, The Cosby Show, in gematria equals up to 54 as well. Then let's go to the date he actually died on, which is July 20th, which is the 201st day of the year. Yeah, can anybody tell me why The Cosby Show ran for a total of 8 seasons, equaling 201 episodes? How? In which is the same number as this event 201, which was a simulation of COVID in October of 2019, right before they actually had COVID. Something tells me that we have to watch for this number in future events. Now, speaking of 9 and 201, Ozzy Osbourne has just died as well. He just performed his last concert just a couple weeks ago called Back to the Beginning, which is an odd title like they almost knew. But here's the thing. The attendance of that venue is 45,000. 4 plus 5 is 9. Now, you could call that coincidence, but here's the thing, his full name in gematria is also 201. What are the chances, right? Make sure you guys get into my Break the Matrix community because I have a whole decode section just for stuff like this. But what do you guys think about this? Coincidence or something else? Let me know below.
Now, when it comes to Eddie Griffin, sources have been speculating that he was shocked when he heard the news, just like everyone else was, and that he believes this entire thing is much deeper than it looks. Word on the street is Eddie believes Malcolm was targeted. However, the reason he hasn't publicly come out to tell people why he thinks this is because people will most likely not believe him and his life will be in danger regardless. It's unclear if the claims these sources are making are true, but they definitely didn't lie about Eddie not wanting to say too much on social media because he kept his reaction to the whole thing very short. He said, "My heart is heavy today. For what the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, a warrior that I had the pleasure of going to war with against the Hollywood machine and sometimes with each other because that's what brothers do. But the love was and is always there. You've taught me so much and I thank you. Rest, well, my big little brother." The crazy thing is back when Malcolm and Eddie were still doing Eddie and Malcolm, they didn't get along at all. Malcolm even revealed that their terrible relationship behind the scenes was part of the reason why the show got canceled. Apparently, Malcolm didn't just have a problem with Eddie's habitual lateness. He was constantly also beefing with the writers of the show over some of the things they were trying to make him do.
Even though we were at odds, what we both understood is we get to 100 episodes, we're going to have a sweet syndication deal. We were like, hey, however we feel about one another, we're going to get this money. We're going to get this 100 episodes. Ultimately, they cut us at 88 because they were tired. They were tired of me fighting with the writers about their writing, and then they were tired of Eddie's shenanigans.
Which means
whatever. I mean, just Eddie is a nut, and I mean that in I
imagine the brothers showing up late. The brothers showing
all
up,
of that,
whatever. And you're
all
like, I'm on time.
Right. It was a miserable experience.
Oh no.
And I have my version. Eddie has, his version. I'm sure he's told countless,
Have you
several different. Me and Eddie, we're cool as fuck now.
But as he said, they resolved their issues, and now Eddie is trying to get him justice. One person said, "I just said this. How bystanders rescue Warner, but he died in responders' care. No media, no heroes." So another person said, "I agree 100% when I heard he died. I immediately thought of Bill Cosby's son, Ennis. Watching Malcolm interviews through the years, he knew his time was getting closer and closer. Eyes never lie and discernment is never wrong." But now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Malcolm suddenly dropping dead after exposing the industry? And do y'all believe the drowning was a cover-up? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.